What is going on, everyone? It's Ultimate Spy 53 here, and welcome to another episode of Reviewed number 87. And today I'm going to be reviewing 2009's Sherlock Holmes. So, what did I think of this movie? Well, I really enjoyed it. I did. It was surprisingly good. So I've only seen this a few times, but I do remember a lot of it. And honestly, one of the better versions of Sherlock Holmes that I've seen, at least period-wise, because it did come out before the new series starring Benedict Cumberbatch was released, which is really interesting. Um, and honestly, it's a good movie, but it has some issues, some flaws that I can definitely say things that I was not very happy with. It did come out after Robert Downey Jr. first appeared as Iron Man in Iron Man, obviously, but it came out a year later in 2009, and it was his first film role and with a British accent because he's obviously American. And he did a very good job with his character. I was not a big fan of the movie, honestly. It was vastly different. It's a vastly different story than the Sherlock Holmes TV series, which is usually told in 3 movie-length episodes, like 90-minute episodes, which is generally what they do. But for this specific movie, they did something that's very different from most movies that I've seen, and it's that kind of like the TV series, but in this case, what Sherlock Holmes does, starting with the beginning of the movie and also throughout the movie, is he plans out his actions. Like, if there's something that's going on and he wants to, like, I guess, like, take someone out, he plans what he's gonna do. Like, he'll freeze frame, like, stop time somehow, and then, like, talk in his head exactly what steps are gonna do. And then after he does those steps, he does that exact thing, and they're actually really cool. Now, he does a similar thing with the whole, being Sherlock Holmes, he's a detective, he's really, really smart, all that stuff. Similar thing that happened in the TV series, where he is able to, like, identify the most significant details about something. But in this movie, he does that, but it isn't like, the tech doesn't pop out like the TV series does, and that's what's so different. And also Robert Downey Jr., who played the character, he did a much different job, obviously, that Benedict Cumberbatch did. I mean, they both are good actors, but Robert Downey Jr., I don't know. I feel like once I've seen the TV series, I like that one better than this one. I'm not a big fan of Robert Downey Jr. as Sherlock. I'm just not. And it's not my thing. Now the one thing I'm not a big fan of this movie is that exact thing. But it was had some good casting over. I like the movie. I like movies where I see actors and recognize them. Like, oh, that's really cool. I mean, I already knew who was in this, but still, like, I've seen this before. But I figured it would be nice to do a review of this because it's such a sophisticated movie, a very mysterious movie, and it's really, really cool because of the way that it's vastly different from any other adaptations that I've seen of the character, and also vastly different from the TV series. Obviously, that's what makes the TV series very unique and very different. And it's the fact that towards the end of the movie, we see Sherlock basically solve the case by going back throughout the entire plot of the movie and basically explain how things were done, like how the case happened, like how this murder happened or whatever it is. And that's the thing about this movie that really sells it. That's what I like about it. Also, it also starred Jude Law as Watson, and honestly, he does it. Compared to Martin Freeman Watson and this Watson, he's obviously different, character-wise, and also just he looks. I feel like this Watson looks better characterized than the one on the show, because the show he doesn't look much like Watson at all. Really, I mean, it is modern, but it's vastly different. He did a really, really good job as Watson. I really like it. I like Jude Law. He's really good. It also starred Mark Strong as the main villain of the movie. Lord Blackwood, who is basically the killer of the movie, the murderer who basically kills like 5 women and tries to kill 6, and that's the mystery of the movie. And he, if you don't know him, he also was in Kingsman. And I mean, I think Jude Law was the only movie that I've seen Jude Law is this, and obviously Robert Downey Jr. was Iron Man, but I've only seen Jude Law in this movie. Not really anything else. I've only seen Mark Strong and that other one. And Rachel McAdams also starred as Irene Adler, who is essentially just who's associated as the love interest to Sherlock Holmes. In this version, I don't think she was. I think they were like something was going on in there, nothing really happened. But in the show, she's a British version of that character. She's very different. That's what makes the TV show and the movie so different. And there was obviously 2 of them, but it was really weird because Rachel McAdams. I almost thought she was who's gonna play the character with the British accent because the TV show used that exact thing, but obviously it did not happen. Rachel McAdams, who's obviously very beautiful, I think she was in About Time, one of the movies that I reviewed, as well as Doctor Strange and a number of other movies. But this is the only movie that I think this is the first appearance I saw of Rachel McAdams in Hollywood, at least. And also it had Mary, who, if you don't know who she was basically the wife or fiance of John in the TV series, who ends up happening in the TV series. And it's a very different approach to the character. A lot of the characters I've seen in this movie are very different, including Detective Inspector Lestrade. He was very, very different. He's the most different character out of the entire movie based off the TV show. I mean, I know the TV show came out later, but even then, like, I know the TV show more than I know the movie. I've only seen the movies a couple times, but even then, it's very, very different. And also, because he's not exactly portrayed as a detective. He's not. He's just an investigator, but he's not a detective, and he doesn't really. I feel like he's not really. He's friends, but not like he's not like close friends with Sherlock as he is in the TV show, which is very different. And that's what causes him to be, not bubbling and very, very friendly. It's very, 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 very different than I normally see him. Because I've seen him portrayed by one guy who was the game hunter at Doctor Who, but he also was in this movie, and he did the character. I almost didn't recognize the guy when I first saw the movie. I'm like, who is this guy? So it's very strange. There's another number of other actors that I did not recognize. I mean, that's not really my fault either, but overall, I really enjoyed it. It's a very good movie. It's a bit lengthy. It's about 2 hours, but it's good and a very, very, it's very interesting. It's very, very, very interesting. That's why I like it so much, because it was a different story. It was different, take on the character. And I'm not having anything against Robert Downey Jr. He's a great actor, one of my favorite actors. I couldn't see him in a role like this. Although he did a good job, I just like, not a role that I'm particularly fond of. Although he did a good British accent, I don't know, he didn't do the best job that I could have seen him do it, like he did in Iron Man. And that's why it's so different. That's why it's just a different role. Although he did a really good job with it, it's hard to see him play a character like this. But also, the use of music was also very, very, very good in this movie. They used a lot of really, really good music in this movie, especially the opening scene where they have the credits. They have like when they take a picture and it's like all like that. It's really like it goes like this music. It's really cool. And honestly, the way they use music in this, it's well done. It's really well done. It's really I love it because it sounds almost like the TV show music, but it's not. It's vastly different. That's why I like it so much. And also the choreography of the fighting is vastly different because I don't think there's any sort of fighting in the TV show at all. I mean, obviously this was actually a more period drama. It was in the 1890s, which is when Sherlock Holmes, the story of the original novels actually took place. I think so. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. And unlike the TV show, this one actually is period based. It's actually based like where on the character's actual his time period, which is the late 1800s. Also, I noticed that Sherlock does not wear his classic detective outfit, the little hat, and the robe thingy, or whatever you call the cape. He doesn't wear that. Well, he wears a little bit in the TV show, but not at all. Like I don't know if there's any modern take on it, or modern movie take on it. I mean, recent movie slash TV show that's ever done a good, justice for making the movie, decent. But overall, I really enjoyed it. I thought the actors were really good. I thought that Robert Downey Jr. did a really good job with the character. Most movies you see you hear a person doing an accent, they do terrible. I've seen video on like the worst accents ever, and this is, honestly, I was really impressed by how well he did the accent. Obviously, you can tell it's his voice, but he did a very convincing British accent, like very like so convincing that if you didn't know he was American, you would be like, oh. There are some actors where they are British in the movie or it's a TV show, but they are American in real life. It is so weird, and seeing him in this role, he's one of his most, I'm not really sure, because Tony Stark is a more famous role than he's played, and that's one of my favorite roles. But playing a character in a mystery like Sherlock Holmes, which is well, I think it was actually one of the better Sherlock Holmes movies, because there's only two. Actually, apparently a third one coming out soon, but yeah, I really liked this one. I like the fact that it was period based. It had one of the more, I guess, story accurate interpretations, because a lot of them were all story accurate. I think I was thinking, oh, maybe Irene Adler is actually, she's British, but it turns out that the TV show uses a different version of the character. She's always been American, apparently been a New Jersey woman from that particular thing. There's been other movies in the Sherlock Holmes film industry. There's actually a new one that came out in 2015 called Mr. Holmes that starred Ian McKellen. I have not seen that yet. I probably will see it and then do a review on it when I get the hands on it. But for now, that's just something I knew about. But yeah, overall, I really enjoyed this. The interesting thing is that the screenplay, which is also the script, is done by the same person who did the X-Men movies, Simon Kinberg, which is really cool. But yeah, honestly, the plot in general is very interesting. I think I explained it before, but basically they're hired by this society to essentially foil this guy's plot of basically ending the world. Essentially, this Blackwood, he's this serial killer, obviously, and he wants to destroy the world. In the very beginning of the movie, we see him enact this ritual where a woman is about to die, essentially, and he snaps it up, obviously. But it was overall a very interesting plot. The fact that Blackwell, he does the thing. Like, I feel like the beginning of the movie also ends the movie, which is really cool, because at the beginning of the movie, Blackwell is the bad guy. He's like the villain of the story, obviously, and he does this ritual. And the villain of the beginning of the movie also becomes the villain at the end of the movie, which is very cool. Honestly, I like that fact that the beginning also solves the end. Like, the beginning makes the end happen. Without the beginning, there would no end, obviously. But because during the movie we see him die, he gets hung, and somehow he fakes a death. Actually, at the end of the movie, Sherlock he tries to figure out how Blackwell faked his death by hanging himself, obviously, not to the point of he actually died. He hangs himself, but not because obviously Sherlock Holmes is invincible because he can't die, apparently. Well, obviously in more modern takes of this character, he's not really killable. I feel like he's Captain Jack Harkness or something, where he just doesn't die, or he's Batman where he doesn't die. I don't know, because and there's a point in the movie where he's trying to figure out exactly how that happened, and he uses a hanging thing. He notices all this the rope was tied loose enough so it would actually go up to his waist. It would die, and then it wears some kind of jacket thing, a strap, so he wouldn't I think collapse from breath. But also the movie itself was very cool. I think it had one American actor. Actually, two American characters, I think. Something like that, yeah. Two American characters, although I don't think they were actually American. I I know that Rachel McAdams isn't actually American, but it's still honestly a really cool concept that they are using different actors. It is a British American movie, but also they are using different actors for different roles you really wouldn't see them in. Obviously, this one, but the plot. I love the fact that the plot, makes itself so mysterious. Where beginning of the movie, you don't really understand what's going on. They're trying to figure that they solve the mystery, or so it seems. And then by the end of the movie, that the same guy who everyone thought was dead turns out to be back from the dead, and Sherlock has to take care of him again. And that was really really interesting. That was the part of the movie that I found most interesting, was having to do, like, basically having to kill him again, essentially. Like, he hangs himself, obviously faking by the hang, but like he hangs himself and then turns out he had to hang him again. So essentially he causes him to die twice, essentially. But also, one thing I really really like about this movie is not just the fact that Sherlock is such an interesting character, but also the way that Robert Downey Jr. handled the character. He made it vastly different from, obviously, because this movie didn't come out, it came out a year before the TV show was even conceived. And honestly, I love the fact that one or two things happen. I mentioned it before, but I'll mention it again because I think it's worth talking about. But essentially, we have him, outgoing the act, like, talking about the step-by-step plan of what he's gonna do in this, like, action he's gonna do. Like, he's gonna take this guy out, but how he's gonna do it, and he explains exactly how to do it. And then obviously the classic Sherlock thing where we see him, kind of look around into detail. Obviously in the TV show it's different because they have text popping up, but it's really this is the reason why I love Sherlock Holmes very much, so much. I'm not obsessed with it. I find him interesting because he pays attention to detail incredibly. It's just the amount of detail he does. He's able to, like, identify things. Actually, there's a scene where he's being introduced to Mary, who is John's fiance, and essentially she asks him to try to figure out who she is, kind of thing. It's kind of a scenario thing, and he does so. He, like, obviously the end the scene has where she dumps wine on him because he was obviously rude to her, but essentially what's really really cool is the fact that he's just looking at her and then just seeing everything about her that he points out, that everything he can tell. And that's the part of the movie that I found really cool about, like, specifically that the trait of the character of Sherlock Holmes, the fact that he can actually identify even the smallest details, the things that you couldn't even identify. Like, for example, I think on Moriarty, who's basically the villain of the next movie, he pinpoints chalk. He pinpoints all these details. He's a professor because there's chalk on a label on his jacket. It's like, how? How can he do that? And that's the thing about the character, and I love so much, is the fact that he's able to pinpoint the details so well that other characters in mystery novels or whatever, they can't do that. And I don't know. I guess he's a Bohemian, so he just kind of like knows stuff. That's what he is. He's a Bohemian, but he just knows all these details. That's why the movies are so good. Obviously, this movie was vastly different from any other portrayal of the character, because obviously Sherlock Holmes does not have the classic costume, and he doesn't have, I think he doesn't have a pipe. I think he was like a pipe at one point in the movie, but he didn't really. I don't know. I feel like he could have been better portrayed. I do like the character of Sherlock Holmes played by Robert Downey Jr., but I still felt that it would have been better. I would have liked it to be better. It would have been a lot. I don't know. I just it could have had some more content. There are some issues, obviously with portrayal of Downey Jr. as Sherlock Holmes. I thought he did a good job with it, but I don't know. I feel like if I was to rate a better Sherlock Holmes between Downey and Cumberbatch, I would go with Benedict Cumberbatch, because he is one of the best Sherlock Holmes I've seen in these recent adaptations, and there's reasons for it, because he does such a good job with that character. I mean, obviously it's a modern take on it, but it's also really well done, and I like that. That's why I like Sherlock more than I like Sherlock Holmes, which is very strange. But still, um, and that's all I can say for Sherlock Holmes. It's a really amazing movie. It's long, it's confusing at times, but man, the attention to detail they go through, and how Sherlock can actually memorize all this stuff. Like he can remember all the things that happened before. You know, all the like he'll be talking about something like, and then in the back when I was in this area, this happened. I saw that this would happen. And, like he's able to he'll be able to memorize all this stuff and then go back and if there's a certain situation, he'll be able to recall that exact moment of where he was and recall how he noticed that little detail. It's like it's crazy awesome. That's why I like the story of this so well, the way the character is used and interpreted, and that's why I like the movie. So yeah, that's all I really can say about Sherlock Holmes. The rating time, I would give it a 9 out of 10. One off because of the fact that I just don't. I'm not a big fan of Robert Downey Jr. as Sherlock Holmes. I'm not saying I'm hated. I'm just not a big fan of it, and that's why I didn't. That's one thing I didn't like about it. Also, I really wish that Irene Adler was used as a love interest in this movie, because in the TV show she was. I just don't. I don't know. I wish she would have got more screen time. Obviously, but still, I don't know. Anyway, that's really all I can say for this movie. Thank you guys so much for watching this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please hit the like button. I really do appreciate the support. And if you're new around here, subscribe to Camera Spy for more episodes reviewed and other great content. And I'll be back next time for another episode. Alright? See ya.